Mikko Rantanen, for the bulk of his NHL career, was a beast in the Stanley Cup playoffs. Can he replicate it with the Dallas Stars? Let's talk about it. Alongside my fellow DLS Stars brethren, Craig Ludwig and Sam Nessler, I'm Owen Newkirk. So, guys, that's the big question. The Moose has been such a force, a beast in the Stanley Cup playoffs for the Colorado Avalanche. The expectation is he'll do it again in Dallas. Now, as you would expect, he had kind of a slow transition after the trade deadline, coming to the Stars after that whole halfway house in Carolina. No offense to the Hurricanes, or maybe we should. No, I'm kidding. But seriously, he's got almost a point a game in the regular season for the Stars. But can he elevate his game when it matters most in the Stanley Cup playoffs?
Take it, Sam. Take it away.
I think yes. I think multiple reasons, but number one is that's the type of player he is. I think if he was with Carolina still and this trade never happened, he would still be a point per game guy for the Carolina Hurricanes in the playoffs. I just think that he not only rises to the occasion, but playoffs is when the big physical players start to really stand out, right? And Rantanen is exactly that. We've seen him get a little nasty. We've seen him throwing some elbows, making room for himself. He makes those plays in tight areas better than I think anyone else on this Dallas Stars team, and that you don't have a lot of space in the playoffs, right? And he's going to make those plays. I don't know whether it's going to be, 4 goals in 6 games or whether he's going to just rack up a bunch of assists feeding guys like Robertson and Hintz, but I think that his ability just translates perfectly to the playoffs, which is why he has, 101 points in 80 playoff games.
I think I would agree with everything you just said if they weren't playing an opponent that he's played with for 10 years. And I wonder, because for me, I know, I can put it in terms of, let's say, Mike Modano. And if Mike was traded to Detroit for some reason halfway through the season and we're playing them in the first round, I know that every single conversation, all the meetings, knowing how good Modano is that we're not letting him beat us. And so I wonder how they're going to play against him. Are they? I mean, you can pick your poison then. If you want to put all your eggs in one basket and say we're going to make sure Rantanen doesn't get a point here, doesn't do this, doesn't do that, but then on this Dallas Stars team, it may be somebody else. It may be that line of Duchesne if the lines stay the way they are. It could be Marchment. Hopefully Tyler Seguin's back. So maybe Rantanen doesn't put up as many points, but in a way, it's just as important because it might not be him, but it may be because of him playing against them. So. And are you going to take Cale Makar? To me, the best guy to play against him to take a lot of that way would probably a guy like Cale Makar. And it's not so much how he defends them. It's that Makar has the puck all the time. Yeah. So it's difficult for those guys to touch the puck. So, but then again, there you go with another line. So in points-wise, maybe not like we've seen all the time, but because of him, it may open up the door for other people to get into certain areas that they normally wouldn't be able, might try to match up against. And when you go back, if you're going to play against Rantanen, you're probably going to play against, the other two guys too, and Hintz and Robo. So do they want to just say we're shutting that line down, which would, lend more to the other couple line, Wyatt Johnston, you got 4 other guys there. I look at Wyatt and then Hintz's line that might be able to take advantage of that.
I want you guys to chew on this as you think about what Lud's just said about it may not be him, it may be someone else. In the 22 Stanley Cup playoffs, where Rantanen had his best statistical year and the Avalanche played, of course, 20 games and captured a Stanley Cup, he was the second leading scorer on Colorado. He had 25 points in 20 Stanley Cup playoff games. That was really, really good. But did you know he was tied for 7th on the team in playoff goals with JT Compher and Devon Toews? He had 5. He's a setup guy.
Yeah.
For all the people talking about, what do you think about Mikko Rantanen? Big, strong, burly, that one-timer from the right side. But what we've seen with Dallas is he is a setup man. He's a playmaker. He's a distributor as much as he is a shooter. Back in that playoff, it was McKinnon with 13, Landeskog with 11, Nichushkin with 9, Lehkonen and Makar each with 8. Guys, it's okay that Mikko's hasn't kind of struggled to score some goals with Dallas or doesn't score that many. Had a couple assists the other game. He is a producer of assists more than he is. I think we're looking for him to be that setup guy.
Well, that's where I go. If you're going to take Cale Makar and play him against him, he's not going to have time to make the plays. He might not get the puck as much. That's what I mean. And if then all of a sudden, if they're, especially when they're at home and you match up against the other guy, number 29 is pretty good too. So who do you want to play against him? Do you want to go power versus power and all this other kind of stuff? And that guy's got the puck quite a bit, right? And so again, I just think it opens up the door for other people. You have to be prepared for it. And this is where I talk about the biggest and most important thing for me during a playoff round, and I don't care how you came into the season, but you have to be ready to make adjustments. And I'm talking about the coaches. And so when you have McKinnon and Makar and Nichushkin and what they're doing, you may have to make in-game adjustments. It may be halfway through the first period that you see something you didn't expect, and Pete and his staff have to be able and be prepared to make an adjustment on that, which sometimes can throw your guys off because all of a sudden they're not getting the same amount of minutes because we're trying to do this and that, but it's all part of playoff hockey.
That's where I think two things for me. I mentioned the small the plays in tight space. That I think is where he could stand out, because if you're trying to basically shut him down, you're going to have very quick plays you have to make, and he's very capable.
You know what that means? Close support.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Because they're going to be little dink plays.
And he makes those little passes
Right.
out of the corner, things like that.
Yep.
I think that needs to happen. The other part of this, and that I know is silly, but they're paying him, $13 million a year for 8 years?
Not yet.
Well, next year. But that deal they signed, this is the kind of stuff that makes it worth it. You have to push through.
Does that put
even
added
if a
pressure
team,
on him?
Maybe. But he's
I don't
been
think
making money, and he's been a superstar his whole life.
I agree with that. I don't
should
think
be able to handle that.
I don't think the pressure bothers him. He's proven it doesn't.
Yeah.
The other aspect, you talk about little dink plays and puck support. One of my favorite players in the NHL to watch is Nikita Kucherov. I've said that multiple times on our show. For all his dazzling skill, the fancy moves, the goals, the setup plays, the power play stuff, his board play, his ability to pull a puck off the wall is unbelievable. It's so quick. He practices it a ton. His ability to pull pucks quickly, make a quick play, it's astonishing at times. Mikko Rantanen is a huge puck battle guy because of his size and his skill combined. So, Luds, you talked about maybe using Makar to try to take him away, but isn't Rantanen the guy that if you're up trying to win a puck battle along the boards to either keep a play alive in the offensive zone or to get it out defensively, he's the one you want in that one-on-one battle?
Yeah, but in my opinion, Kucherov's in a class of his own.
Fair.
You know what I'm saying?
Fair.
Like,
He's unbelievable.
He does things that, and again, he does Gretzky-like things, and when you played against Gretzky, but the problem when you, going back in time here, but what would happen is it would always be two guys would get gravitated to Gretzky, and Gretzky always knew where the other guy was. And you're like, you get to stay over here. We got him. It was actually easier to cover him, from that standpoint, because it's not like he was fast. So when you get to the other guy in Tampa, he has things and he makes cross-ice plays and he makes things look very easy, and he can score goals, and he's elusive, and he's got a little bit better set of wheels on him. So, like, again, I think for us, it's almost TBD. We want to see how he does it, and I'm interested how they play against him. It'd be really, really nice if, we had number 4 back, and I know there's a little chatter about that. And
well, it's not going to be for game 1. We know that.
Well, I think we've known that for a while.
Yeah.
But, but anyway, that would really help. But we'll see. I just expect and hope that he plays the way he does. But I think what Sam mentioned, it's for me, it's that close support because of who he's probably going to have to play against. He's not going to have a lot of time. Now, he does a really good job with his body about holding guys and playing guys off of his back, but you still don't have a lot of time. You have to make, little passes that can open seams up.
Is he the type of player, because I have my answer, but I'm curious what you think. Is he the type of player that when you say we're going to shut you down or you get physical with him, that he actually rises?
I think that the second part last. I don't think physical play against him bothers him. I think because of his size. I think that he's been through the playoffs. He knows that that's the guy you circle on the board. They got a couple guys, but when you circle that guy, you're like, make it hard on him. He's been playing that way against players that are trying to make it hard on him for all of his years in the playoffs. He knows how to play against guys, and they're not a super physical team, either. Yeah. So I think he'll be prepared for that. But I think that And I think for the guys, 2 guys that he plays with, they have to be ready to support him in a different way against this team and don't go away from him. Even though during the regular season, since he's been here, he can make those plays. I just think that some of that time and space will be taken away from him.
And I think that could lead to some of those beautiful goals that we saw, right?
Okay.
Because if they're rushing to him, getting out of position, maybe you make one little short pass to Rope Hintz, who finds Jason Roberts, and that's where that tic-tac-toe started. I know we haven't seen it down the stretch a little as much, but I think that we could see some of those in that round as well.
And the good thing that I think that we've seen lately is how much he's driving to the net after he's given the puck to those 2 guys. He's not sitting back and watching them finish, where in the beginning I think that he was kind of doing that. And I know there's one goal I remember, he was in the crease. He followed it up from outside the top of the circles, got to the net and tapped in a rebound there. So I think he's learning with Hintz. Probably can't keep up with him. He's going to be, a half a zone ahead of me. And with Robo, he likes to come in from behind and find these little holes. And so now, and he's a shooter. And so now, if I'm giving it to one of them 2 guys, it's probably going to be at the net. So I might as well not hang out here. I might as well start gravitating there.
It'll be very interesting to see how the Stars deploy Rantanen and the rest of the lineup when they hit the playoffs against the Colorado Avalanche. What we do know is Rantanen's pedigree is such that he should be a force in the postseason. So what do you guys think? You think Mikko Rantanen will be the impact player that you expect, that we all expect, of a guy that signed a $12 million a year deal for the next 8 years with the Dallas Stars? I think so. But what do you think?